Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Road, and in today's video, we are going over the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Honda Prelude 5th generation, which is, in my opinion, probably the most popular generation of Prelude. And for those that are going to be like, why the Prelude? Well, a couple reasons, and one of the reasons are surprising, to say the least. First of all, somebody left a comment saying they wanted to see a 5th gen Prelude, and they've actually DM'd me on Instagram saying they wanted to see a 5th gen Prelude video, so I was like, okay, absolutely. But on top of that, just recently, a video of mine about like the Honda Prelude, which I made probably 2 years ago at this point, is blowing up again. It got like 8,000 views in one day yesterday, and so like clearly you guys like the Prelude, so let's do a good, bad, and ugly on it. And for those who don't know what the good, bad, and ugly are, for those who are new to the channel or something like that, maybe it's the first time seeing Mark, shut up, man. The good, bad, and ugly, the way these work is, first off, I go over everything you need to know about the car. That's, you know, just basic information. Things like the years it was made, what engines it comes with, things like that. Then I get into what the community tends to do with them when building them. So if they drift them, if they drag race them, if they turn them into street builds, show builds, what have you. And then I finally get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which is self-explanatory, but I'll explain more when I get there. And then at the end of the video, I tell you whether or not I think you should buy it, depending on the current situation you're in. Without further ado, let's go right into the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Honda Prelude 5th generation. Alright, so like I said, first up is just basic info about the car. So first is the years made in the generation. The car was made, the 5th gen at least, from 1996 to 2001, and obviously it is the 5th generation. Duh. Can you not read? Can you not hear in the intro? Like, what's going on, partner? Next up is the trim levels / engines that it comes with. As far as I could tell, they don't really have that many trim levels, and the trim levels that they do have, they don't change anything pretty much. The base model comes with a 2.2 liter inline 4 that makes 195 horsepower, and then they also have the Type SH model, which also comes with a 2.2 liter inline 4, but now it makes 200 horsepower, but it also does have a bunch of other goodies like better suspension, brakes, interior, what have you. It's definitely the better, more sporty option than the base model, but in terms of actual like horsepower, it's actually not that big of a difference. As for the body styles, this car is available as a two-door coupe only. There's obviously no convertibles, there's no sedan options or what have you. It's just a two-door coupe. Next up is the drivetrains. It is front-wheel drive only. Duh, it's a Honda. Every Honda's front-wheel drive. Next is the transmissions. It is available as an automatic or a manual. Get the manual. Why wouldn't you? It's a 2000s Honda. You are a maniac if you decide to get the automatic over the manual. Next is the price. It obviously depends heavily on the condition you get it, the mileage that you get it with, etc., etc. But I would say it ranges anywhere from like $3,000 for a piece of crap one that you're just going to build up to be a little race car, all the way up to $7,000 if you want something that's decent and nice. But it really just depends again on what you're looking for. And then finally, for the reliability and the gas mileage, the car is obviously very reliable because it is a Honda, but it is an H series motor, so not as reliable as other models, but again, still reliable, just not as reliable as like a B series or a K series. And the gas mileage is a combined 22 miles per gallon, which is actually very good. It makes sense, it's an inline 4, but still very good miles per gallon. Alright, but now what do they do? What do the car community tends to do with these bad mother jammers when they start to modify them? As for the drifting side of things, obviously they are not seen here ever because they're front-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive cars are not drift cars. You can do it, but it's not gonna be fun. Next is the rally or off-roading stuff, also not seen here either. It's a Honda. Hondas are not rally cars. they don't make rally cars. I mean, I'm sure somebody has made like a rally Prelude, but it's not something that's like you're gonna see ever. Next is for like street racers, those kinds of guys. Sometimes people will like K-swap or B-swap it, but other than that, honestly, not too often. You don't see like, you're gonna see a lot more Civics and Integras than you are Preludes when it comes to like street racing kind of guys. But as for track racing, on the other hand, it is easily its most popular application. These things are little autocross monsters, and people know that, so they buy them up and they bring them to the track. Makes total sense. I totally support that too, because a freaking Honda on a track is heaven. And finally, for the stance or show guys, people that just want to build this look cool, yeah, they're seen here because it is an early 2000s Japanese sports car, so of course they're seen here, but not as much as any other Hondas yet again. Like, you're gonna see again, you're gonna see more Civics and Integras than you are Preludes if you go to like a car show. Alright, but now we are into the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the way these work. Let's explain it real quick. First is I'm going to go over the good. These are just things that are good about the car, things that you can't lie, you can't try and, you know, argue with. They're just good things about the car. Next up is the bad. Those aren't actually bad. It's just a fun play of words, good, bad, and ugly. It's more the middle ground. You know, if it affects you, then it might be an issue. If it doesn't affect you, then who cares? Most of them don't affect most people, but they might. You know, there's just things to keep in mind. And then the ugly are actual problems that you're going to actually have to address, and things that you're going to want to stay away from the car for. So without further ado, let's get right into it with the good. First off is the reliability. Again, it's a Honda. Again, it's not as reliable as a K series or a B series. Yes, I get that, but it's still a Honda. It's still reliable as hell. Next up is the price. It's another Japanese sports car for dirt cheap. Gotta love it. Every Japanese sports car that's still cheap makes me happy, and this is one of them. Next up is the aftermarket support. Even though it does have an H series, it doesn't matter because people were modifying these things, so tons and tons and tons of companies have tons and tons and tons of parts out there for you if you want to build this thing up, which is always nice. Next up is that it's easy to work on. Hondas are like the freaking definition of just a Lego car. They're so easy to work on. I'm trying to fix my brake lines on my Integra right now, and the brake lines are right on the bottom of the car. All I had to do to access the brake lines was take this plastic cover off. It was so nice. My uncle's Corvette, they're trying to do the same thing, fix the brake lines. It's up above the exhaust, so I have to take the exhaust off to fix the brake lines, and it's like not with a Honda. They're so easy to work on. Next up is the community for Hondas is absolutely amazing. It's no secret. Everybody loves the community for Hondas, but yeah, they're good guys. They'll look out for you. They're always there. Next up is the handling. These cars handle really well. I mean, they're a little sports car. What do you expect? Next up is they hold their value very well. If you buy one of these things for, let's say, $5,000 and you keep it in the same condition that you bought it in, or make it look better, or make it look prettier, or make it better, then you could easily up your value on these cars. They're wanted cars, but they go up in value is what I'm trying to say. Next up is any other Honda engine pretty much bolts right up to this car. This is how it is with pretty much every early 2000s Honda, but that's always such a benefit, dude. People freaking like swapping an engine into a Honda is like a normal job. These guys get it done in like 3 hours because every Honda, it's just like, yeah, you want to put a K series in it? There you go. You want to put a B series in it? There you go. F, there you go. It's amazing. And finally, for the good is they're underrated, so you'll get some looks even from car guys, which is always a nice touch. Some people might not like that because there might not be as many like forums out there or stuff like that trying to walk people through certain jobs or things like that. But I wouldn't really worry about that too much. Again, they're a Honda. They're not going to be that hard to work on, and the underrated factor is pretty cool. All right, but now we are into the bad, and again, these are not actual bad things. They're just things that you kind of have to make up your mind whether or not it affects you on. So first off is the sound. I put this here at the beginning of every good, bad, and uglies in the bad because obviously that is totally personal preference. So here's a clip of a Prelude. Next up is the cup holders are kind of useless. It's an early 2000 sports car. Did you expect to put an Arizona iced tea can in there? Well, you're an idiot then, because they don't do that. My Integra doesn't do it either. Early 2000 sports cars just have the worst cup holders ever. Next up is the looks. Again, this is totally up to you. People might not like the looks of this Prelude. I personally like it, but I don't like it as much as I like the 4th gen. I think the 4th gen is just gorgeous, but the 5th gen is a good looking car in my opinion, but again, that's totally up to you. Next up is the car is definitely not the fastest car out there for your money in terms of stock. Obviously, it's a Honda and you can turbo these things and make good power, and they're lightweight, so the power, gets put to good use. But if you're just gonna like buy a car, keep it stock, and you want to like have a straight line speed car, this is not the car for you. They're 200 horsepower, man. It's not going to be crazy. Next up is the interior space. I have an Integra, like I said multiple times already, and the interior space, I'm a 6'1" guy, can get in the way sometimes, especially if you want to like carry things around too. Like if you're trying to like put new tires and wheels on it, you might need to get somebody's truck. It just doesn't have the most space. So if you're thinking about using this as like a mega daily, like it's your only vehicle, maybe think twice. Next up is the engine does burn some oil. It actually does this for good reasons, for reliability standards, and it's not like super bad, but yeah, just keep an eye on it, man. You might need to add like a quart every month into this car, but I mean, every single one of my cars I've ever owned has burned oil, and it's never been an issue for me. You just gotta, if you take care of cars, if you know to look at your freaking car's oil every once in a while, you'll be fine. Next is buying one is kind of sketchy. It's just the people selling them. This happens with a lot of dirt cheap cars. It starts to get to the point where people that are not the best people out there start to buy them up and then want to sell them to you, and then you have to be careful when going to buy it because they might rob you, things like that. And on top of that, they're gonna lie to you, man. There's gonna be hidden damages, hidden things like that. It's just be careful. Next up holdup is apparently the car may clunk on acceleration in cold weather, which isn't an issue at all, apparently. It's just an annoyance. It doesn't mean there's an actual problem there. It just annoys the owners of them, but it does do that. So if you like buy one of these and it's cold out and it starts to clunk when you're accelerating, you may be like, wow, it's some big issue, but apparently it's not. It's just an annoying sound. But that's what the forums are saying. Don't quote me on that one. And finally, for the bad, is all the common problems that are going to come with age. This is just things that happen on pretty much every 2000s car at this point. Things like bushings, rusted bolts or parts. The windows are not going to work, maybe. The headlights might be dimmed. The paint's going to be fading. The interior might be nasty and ripped, just to name a few. Just things that are going to happen with age that you're going to want to look out for. It's pretty much inevitable at this point, but yeah, just wanted to name it here anyway. And now we are into the ugly. These are actual problems with the car, and guess what? There's only one thing that I could find about the 5th gen Prelude that's an actual problem, that's a serious thing that you might want to stay away from the car for, and that is, just like every other 2000s Japanese car, the auto transmission is useless. Get the 5-speed manual, and these things can easily last to 250,000 miles and above, but if you get the automatic transmission, it won't last that long, and it's not going to be as fun to drive. It won't be as fast. It's just stay away from the auto. It's pretty much it. Just stay away from the auto. It shouldn't be that hard. But yeah, this is the only thing I could find on this car that's like an actual genuine problem, that's not just something that comes with age, which is really impressive, Honda. Good job. Now, my final thoughts, though. Do I think you should buy this car depending on the current situation that you're in? Well, I have 4 current situations for you, so let's go over them. First off is the regular dude that just wants a daily driver. Not a car guy. Somebody that's just looking for a daily driver. Couldn't care less how it looks. Couldn't care less how it performs. Just a car that can get them from point A to point B. Not the best for you. It's a bit too tiny and expensive if all you care about is getting from point A to point B. These are sports cars. Yes, they're reliable. Yes, they can, they can do that, but there's just so much better options. Honda themselves make better options. I mean, for the price of a Prelude, you can get an 8th gen Civic. If you're looking for just a daily driver, get an 8th gen Civic. It's so much better in every way. As for the car guys, though, that want a daily driver, because obviously we're different. We know that even though we're going to buy a car that we're going to quote is a daily driver, we are going to want something that's pretty fun. Yeah, I think it's a very good option. Besides the space issue, again, make sure you just make sure you have a buddy with a truck, or maybe you have another car that can put things in it. But besides that, yeah, it's a good option. I mean, they're reliable and they're fun and they're cool. Why not? As for the guys that are trying to buy a Sunday cruiser, somebody that just wants to buy a car that's in nice condition and keep it in their garage and then drive it maybe once a week and keep it in nice condition and then sell it for more money later on in life. Honestly, not the worst option if it's an SH, because they will go up in price one day. I can kind of just feel it in my testicles, but I don't know if it's like the best option for you. I mean, there's better options out there, like 240SX. If you want to buy a car that's gonna go up in value and you're gonna get money out of it in the next couple of years, I think a car like a 240SX is a much better idea. Maybe like a Mitsubishi Eclipse GSX, but I mean, the Type SH Prelude still has a little bit of ways to go, in my opinion, before it starts to get to the point where people are like knocking on heaven's door in order to own a Prelude one day. As for the race car / project car guys, though, the guys are just going to build something crazy. Absolutely. Hondas have been perfect freaking project cars for years now. They've been proven time and time again to be really good just at pretty much anything you set them to. So why not do it with a Prelude? Yeah, I think it's a great option. Any Honda out there, in my opinion, is a great option to build into a little project. So yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Honda Prelude 5th generation. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other good, bad, and uglies you want to see in the comment section down below, of course, because that's how I get all these good, bad, and uglies. I think the next one is going to be on the... Oh my gosh, it was right on the tip of me tongue, mate. It was right here. It was right there. You see it? Can you see it? I can't see it because I lost it. It fell off the tip of me tongue. Makes me upset. But anyway, let me know what other videos you'd like to see. Sorry for not uploading recently and just being all over the place with upload schedules and stuff like that. I have just been... My cars... Okay, so let me explain this to you. I was driving to my friend's house to go swimming, right? Popped the tire. No big deal. It was kind of an annoyance because I don't have another car, and so I needed somebody, and I couldn't get the car off the ground because the jack I had wouldn't fit under it because it's lowered. And then on top of that, I couldn't get the tires off because it has those lock keys on it, and I didn't have the key to take those off. So I was like, okay, I'm screwed. So I brought it to I drove it like 10 feet down the street to a mechanic shop, and I called them in the morning and was like, hey, could you please get those tires off and put the spare on it because I don't have the key. And so they got them off, and that was awesome. I drive it back to drive it down to my house and then to get the new tires put on it, obviously, because I'm not driving around with a spare. And as I do that, I realize, okay, I should probably do the brakes while I'm doing this, right? Why not? Because the brakes have been bad for quite some time. I start to do the brakes, the calipers are seized. Okay, now I gotta wait for calipers to get in. I get the calipers on, get all the brakes put on. Mind you, this is a 150,000 mile New England Acura, so every single freaking bolt is rounding out rusted out, destroyed bolt. Like, they're useless freaking bolts. So you could put this bolt on a pair of toddler. You could like bolt down a toddler's fingers, and the toddler could still rip their fingers out of the bolt because of how freaking weak these bolts were. They were useless. So I had to keep getting new bolts too, and then ripping out these bolts, and every bolt would take like a half hour just to get out because of how annoying it was. And so that took like a whole day. And then on top of that, I start to go to drive it, and all the tires are locked up. Every tire is completely locked. It won't move. I'm like, what is happening? I look underneath it, there's a puddle of brake fluid. The brake lines are leaking. So now I'm trying to get brake lines and to do the brake lines. I've never done brake lines before in my life, so this is the first time for me too. I don't have the tools for it, like the special tools for it and anything. It's a freaking nightmare, guys. I've been all over the place with that. It's just, and that's the only car I have. So I've also been looking at buying like a truck or something, just something that's going to be reliable and good for New England weather. And so I've been doing that too. It's just been all over God's creation, man. It's been a nightmare, but I hope you guys understand that I'm just going through actual life things that I have to get settled out, because if I don't have a car, then I can't do anything. And I want to do stuff. I enjoy doing stuff, so I need to get that fixed first. It's my priority number one right now is my car, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed either way. And I'm sorry that we've been all over the place with uploads, but what can you do, man? That's not my fault. I didn't want the car to have brake line issues, okay? But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.